Why do you think people stay in outmoded skills and outmoded methods that they probably know don't work anymore?
Part of it, I think, has to do with the fact that people are comfortable on autopilot. I mean, once you learn how to drive, you don't have to think about it a lot. I mean, in fact, you can drive all the way home without remembering a single turn. What's worse are the days you weren't planning on going home. But the difficulty is when people are on autopilot, and all of a sudden now we're challenging these people to go through change. What happens is they sit in a room, they listen to these people talk about stuff, and they have no idea what they're even talking about. And they look at their colleagues, and they're all nodding their heads, I've got it, I understand. Then they go to the restroom, and they understand. Did you have any idea what that guy was talking about? I have no idea. It's the imposter phenomenon stuff they found in Boston, Seattle, San Francisco. 70 to 80% of American professionals have imposter feelings. They're not imposters. People would rate their performance as effective, but inside they say to themselves, if anybody found out how much I don't know, I'd be in deep trouble. So at least I ought to dress for success. We get people more concerned about how they dress than what they know. It goes back to Alvin Toffler. Alvin Toffler said, the illiterate of the future are not those who cannot read or write. They're those who cannot learn, unlearn, and relearn. The hard ones, unlearning. I got to let go of what I know how to do and look good doing, and move into that uncomfortable zone where I'm having to learn new things and admit what I don't know and use the team in the process. That's why change is exciting, but it's tremendously risk-taking for a lot of people.
So how do you make sure that training or speaking actually makes a difference? Do you really think it makes a difference?
I think when people talk about does training really work, it's a question of we are now in a position where it is no longer a sign of whether or not people need training. It's if you don't have training, you're not continuing to go through that lifelong process of always upgrading your skills. I had an individual tell me, she came up to me and she said, you know, you're right, I really need to invest time in my education. And I said, well, that'd be a good idea. She said, but I'm tired. I'm working all day. I don't have time to do this. And I said, well, why not, you know, life's an investment. You've got to put your time in. What about one night a week going to education? And she said, well, if I did it that way, by the time I got out, I'd be 45. I said, optimistically, I'd be 45 anyway. You're either 45 with a degree or 45 without. And she focused immediately, and I said, well, how long have you been thinking about this? And she said 3 years. I said, you could have been 42. We have got to get people thinking in terms of not when do I need education, but how do I continue to do it? I'm telling everybody, invest 5% of your time in your next career at all times, because people who do not have options resist change. People who have options can flow with the flexibility and the needs of where they can add value. You're going to see increasing tension within the labor unions because labor unions have been used to holding on to something and keeping people out. Now you can be very good at something no one needs. So I'm telling people, invest in change as an ongoing process, and the only defense, your best insurance policy, is the education and the training you receive.